Better to answer that question, of course, than Sir Keir Starmer himself. For the government, we'll be joined by Mark Harper. He's the Transport Secretary. And we've spoken to Sam Brown, whose testimony of abuse is part of a new BBC factual drama on Jimmy Savile. With her was Steve Coogan, who plays Savile in the series.
It's quite a burden, quite a responsibility for me as an actor in the way I'm going to portray Jimmy Savile. It's a fine balancing act about how I'm going to portray him. I can't do him as a pantomime villain.
Good morning, good morning. I'm standing in for Laura today, and we are broadcasting live from the Museum of Liverpool, just minutes away from where the Labour conference gets underway later. On the panel today, we've got Jo Grady. She is the General Secretary of the University and College Union. Alex Baldock, who is CEO of Currys, and Catherine Viner, who is the Editor-in-Chief of The Guardian. Good morning to all of you. Thank you for being here. Let's have a quick look at some of the front pages of the Starmer. Enjoy your conference. Thank you very much. Let's talk to our panel. We have Catherine Viner, Editor-in-Chief of The Guardian, Alex Baldock, CEO of Currys, and Jo Grady, who is General Secretary of the University and College Union. What do you think?
I mean, gosh, didn't that sort of give you a sense of the challenges that a new Labour government would inherit if they
welcomed?
Thank you very much for talking to us this morning. Thank you. Mark Harper, who is the Transport Secretary. Now, a new factual drama series based on the story of serial sex offender and paedophile Jimmy Savile is starting on BBC One tomorrow. We're going to play you a trailer now, and just to let you know that some viewers might find it upsetting.
I'm not an act. What you see is what you get.
He's our man.
He was one of the biggest manipulators.
The investigation found no evidence to justify the allegations.
He gets away with it because no one else sees it. It's a violation.
It's called The Reckoning. Some critics have questioned whether the series sufficiently holds the BBC to account, and others have asked whether it should have been made at all. I've been talking to Sam Brown, one of the survivors whose experience is told in this drama, and to Steve Coogan, who plays Jimmy Savile. I began by asking about the criticism.
For somebody to criticise something they've not seen says a lot. It shouts out that it is not something you're comfortable to see. Well, as a child, or even as a vulnerable adult, the abuse we went through, that was not comfortable. That was not easy. And it is still happening. You know, I work for social services and I love my job and I'm a foster mum. People seem to think this is a rare occurrence. It's not. You know, up my road, there could be 5, 6, 7 children, vulnerable people that are being abused every single day. It's very, very current, and it will always be current. And to close your mind off to something you could learn from, I find that quite difficult to understand.
Steve, I wonder if you can describe for our audience how you got into this character, playing Jimmy Savile, because he was everywhere on TV and radio, and he has become so reviled.
I thought long and hard before I did it, and I thought, why are we doing this? What's it for? It has to, when people see it, it has to justify itself. I think I was satisfied with that it was a way of a sort of a lightning rod for other people who've been abused, and also for people like Sam to as a sort of a platform to reach out to people. But I was concerned because it's quite a burden, quite a responsibility for me as an actor in the way I'm going to portray Jimmy Savile, and you have to be. It's a fine balancing act about how I'm going to portray him. I can't do him as a pantomime villain. So there's always worries about, if it's too grotesque, will it be triggering? If we try to avoid the fact that it had charisma, is that problematic as well? So you're sort of walking a tightrope in terms of how the show is produced and how I play him.
Sam, you have told me that you are comfortable with talking about this, and I want to ask you how you met Savile.
Well, we used to go to chapel on a Saturday night at St Mandeville Hospital. My mum was very close with the priests, so it became my job to go into the back room and collect the collection plate. I could see the priest, Saville would be leant against a worktop with another man, and I knew not to talk. I already knew not to talk, and it really made me feel as if I had no power. He always used to put his hand in my mouth, like his whole hand, so I would be retching, you know, and try not to be sick, and then while he done that, it got to the stage where he would penetrate me with his fingers. He touched whatever he wanted to touch, and I knew that that would happen regardless. You know, the pain I went through to try and protect myself, lots of pairs of knickers, and we, you know, at church then...
Did you wear more than one pair of knickers to go to church?
Yeah, I'd wear as many pairs as I had in my drawer.
So you were doing everything you could to put barriers up for him?
Yeah.
And how old were you when this was going on, Sam?
It started probably about when I was 12, 13.
And can I ask you what impact that kind of abuse has on you as a child growing up and the rest of your life?
It stopped me. I stopped talking. So I didn't... My communication went. I was in hospital a lot. I didn't learn to read until I was 10, because when you have all of that in your head, how are you supposed to learn? What space is there for normal life? There's no space. I didn't trust anyone. I felt so unloved. So then when that turned into a teenager, I drank. I used to use glue. It was almost like I wanted to hurt myself for feeling so disgusting. I felt like this was all my fault. Really? I felt all of this was my fault. What was wrong with me?
Steve, one of the Saville survivors in this series describes Saville as essentially grooming the whole nation. How do you think he made his way into the heart of the establishment? You know, he was a friend of the then Prince of Wales. He was an acquaintance with the Duke of Edinburgh. He spent time at the Chequers with the Thatchers. I
think he, you know, the reason why the drama is important is because it sheds light on how he was able to do that. So it was a reciprocal relationship he had with people that created this world, this universe where he could operate. He built a character for himself, this antic disposition he would put on. So it was like a suit of armour. It was very hard to get through, and I think that was deliberate. And interestingly, when I was studying, watching him, he waved his arms around, he waved his hands around a lot when he talked to people, in the, sort of around like this. And it was almost like, I thought, like a magician trying to distract you. When a magician performs a trick, they sort of make you look elsewhere while they're doing something else. And I think, metaphorically, that's what he was doing. That he always tried to control the room he was in, and then, of course, this court jester, the routine that he had worked with the high and mighty, and you know, it was the Trojan horse that allowed him to abuse so many people, and we try our best to depict that.
Yeah. Do you think the BBC has learned lessons from the way he might have been enabled in this organisation, and will continue to learn further valuable lessons? It's
always difficult when an institution has to be culpable. My initial concern was, are they trying to go easy on themselves? And Jeff, the producer, said, no, quite the reverse. They want to put their feet to the fire. I think really the BBC is in a kind of a sort of a damned if they do, damned if they don't situation where, on balance, it is best they make it, and that, like all these things, not just the BBC's accountability, that you have to go through a little pain to come through the other side.
Well, let me ask you, finally, Sam, your view on that.
I think it's been really done carefully, and I think that taking the time out to really understand what people like myself are saying and meaning, that's been really important. And we've been offered all the time, there's been support there offered if we need it, and we all became very close making this. It made me... I'm really proud of this. I feel very proud of this, for not just myself, but for everybody that's worked in this, because it's not easy to try your hardest to get something like this right. And I feel that we've got it right.
Thank you very much for talking to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you have been affected by child sexual abuse or violence, there are loads of organisations that are available to help you. Just go to the BBC Actionline, bbc.co.uk/Actionline, or you can call for free at any time, and you'll hear recorded information on 0800 077 077. Catherine Viner, do you think the BBC should have made this?
I haven't seen it yet, but from those interviews, it sounds like it's been done with great respect to the victims. I was very affected by what Sam said there. So I think art can be made out of anything. It's all about how you do it, and it sounds like they've done it in a really respectful way, but I would like to see it before
Sure. I mean,
that.
Sam is an incredible woman. What do you think, Jo?
I think it sounds like this has been very survivor-informed and is very trauma-informed, and in that sense, you know, I may or may not watch it, but again, I wouldn't know unless I do. I think my broader point would be that we may rush towards dramatisations of these types of issues, and what are we doing as a society to ensure that there is more robust frameworks in place to make sure that organisations are trauma-informed and this doesn't happen, that if this triggers a lot of people wanting to report to the police or get in touch, what services are going to be available to people. And I kind of worry that there's sort of like a chicken before the egg situation. But, you know, I think a great testimony from the person involved there, and hopefully this will, you know, be a corrective for them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure anything should be off limits for culture. I mean, if Spielberg can make a drama out of the Holocaust, I think that probably applies to everything, but it all depends, as you've heard, on the treatment.
Yeah. Well, it's on BBC One from tomorrow, and it's on Monday and Tuesday, but all episodes will be on iPlayer if you do want to watch it. Thank you, all of you. Thank you. Yeah, giving up your time and spending an hour here in the wonderful Museum of Liverpool. We're really, really grateful. Almost at the end of the programme, let's just have a quick reminder of what Sir Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, said. If you want more today, I'm going to be joining Paddy O'Connell shortly for the latest weekend newscast. You can find that on BBC Sounds, obviously. Next week, the programme is in Aberdeen for the SNP's annual conference. Hope you have a lovely Sunday, and thanks for watching.